And the pieces of the puzzle just keep falling right into place, and virtually nobody is seeing it, but everybody's talking about it. They're just unaware of it. That's what happens when you are the victim of psychological operations. Right now, the U.S. government, mainstream media, and the military, they're putting on a clinic on how to control a populace. The truth is out there, right in front of everybody's face, and nobody is seeing it. How many of you have been on one side or the other of an argument about this no kings protest thing that just happened? Well, what does it prove? It proves that half the country has one goal, one agenda, and the other half has an entirely different one. Most people who are holding up these signs don't even understand how the concept of kings and the concept of royalty came into being. How did this happen? There was something out there that was worse. That was way, way worse. It's called anarchy. And a lot of people have romanticized it. In this video, I'm going to show the difference and show how people who are wanting one thing want the exact opposite in their own reality. If you'd like to get read in on the basic tactics and techniques of psychological operations, we would love to have you over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. Why do we talk about it over there? Because the powers that be, they don't want you knowing about it. If I tried to do it here on YouTube, they'd shut me down because it would take away their power. You have it in your own mind to clear away the fog. People just don't know that they have the ability to understand it. 24 cognitive biases, 24 logical fallacies, with examples, hundreds of videos going all the way back to 2018, fully refundable first 90 days, whatever level you pledge at. We'd love to have you over there. Let's get right to it. Let's get right to it. Some are probably saying, Florida Maquis. Florida Maquis. Nothing was achieved in the No Kings protests. They went out and they marched and they waved their flags and they achieved absolutely nothing. What a bunch of buffoons. Oh, they did achieve something. They absolutely did achieve something. You see, their entire goal was to feel something. And that's the basis of all dark horse propaganda. You see, for them, it was a wild success because they felt like emotionally they did something. You see, they had that was their goal. Their entire goal was to feel like they achieved something. Now, those of you that are laughing, don't laugh too long, because anyone who understands how psychology works and psychiatry works knows that your subconscious mind does not know the difference between an actual experience that produces an emotion and an emotion that you fabricate simply by thought alone. Now, anyone out there who's ever had a little one, who has had a nightmare, who has woken up in the middle of the night, monsters under the bed, bad dream, they're inconsolable. You can present as many logical facts as you want. There were no monsters under the bed. There were no monsters in the closet. Whatever you dreamed up in your dream, it didn't happen, but that will just confuse a child more. And that will make them even more afraid because the brain does not have the ability to distinguish these things. That's why sometimes the same nightmares that haunt children haunt them into their adult years, because they haven't ever been shown how to divide their mind properly. You can look under the bed 100 times and you get back under the covers and you turn the light off and that monster just reappears under there, doesn't it? It's propaganda. Rational versus emotional behavior. The Bible even supports this. When I was a child, I thought and I spake and I behaved as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. It's about understanding. And folks, Here's the thing that's not going to prepare, that nobody's going to be prepared for if anarchy ever hits. Those of you that think anarchy is this wonderful thing. Why is anarchy a wonderful thing? Well, the government gets out of the way, Florida Maquis, and we can just have whatever we want, whenever we want it. We just have to go and get it. Really? Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. And you know what one of the first things people are going to go get is? That thing that the government's been prohibiting them from getting for a long time. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because believe me, the things that go on during anarchy make what Jeffrey Epstein did seem like the actions of a saint. In anarchy, there are no rules. In anarchy, there are no forces that can say to anyone, well, this is right and that is wrong. It's anarchy by definition. It's what led to the Dark Ages. And it was the Dark Ages, uncontrolled, perpetual anarchy, that led to abject poverty and terror all across Europe, that led to kings and authoritarians. People loved it. People loved the idea of there being an authority that would enforce a standard upon society, divinely ordained to rule by God. Most kings, believe it or not, I know American history will tell you different, but most kings and most queens of Europe were loved and lauded and applauded. There were some bad ones. This is true. And they, of course, make the news. Just like everything on the internet that's bad makes the news, nothing that ever good happens ever makes the news. But if you'd like a really great place to go from not very long ago, how many of you remember the series Revolution with Tracy Spiridakis? The way they laid out the story was a little bit vague at first, but the things that happened in the human behavior elements in the story are dead on. They are spot on. And it doesn't paint a pretty picture. There are those out there protesting authoritarianism. Folks, if there could be one definition of anarchy in an animal, it's a wild boar. It's the last thing in Florida you ever want to encounter in the wild. I would much rather encounter a puma, a mountain lion, a bear. Heck, even most times a day, a gator. You run into a pack of these, and they are literally anarchy on hooves. You don't want to mess with them. They're ugly. And this is one of my favorite cartoons. I remember the first time I ran across this. It's the Three Little Pigs, of course. And the first two pigs are looking at the third one going, surrounded by all the prepper supplies, the underground base. This isn't just about the wolf anymore, is it? It's not just about the wolf. You see, it's a wild success to half the country because their goal was a feeling. Their goal was a reinforcement of their own belief because they looked all over the country and they saw protests in all these different cities. They had the ability to connect on a feeling. You see, protesting is not an act of freedom. It's an appeal to authority. You can fill in any blank here. You aren't fighting for fill in the blank. You're slaves begging for longer chains. Declaring something illegal, for those of you who are on the right who are patting yourself on the back right now, declaring something illegal like, say, fentanyl or cocaine or whatever, is not an argument. It's an appeal to authority. Laws are arbitrary dictates to control a population, not universal standards of morality. See, this striking of the drug boats is just a clouded form of socialism, isn't it? Because in a true free market capitalist society, caveat emptor, right? Caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. The only people who are dying from fentanyl are people who are seeking street drugs. Nobody is finding, oh no, my Lucky Charms have fentanyl laced with them this morning. Gosh darn it, that was a close one. I wish Donald Trump would do something, because the other day I ordered a Big Mac, and if I hadn't opened up the sandwich to look in it and seen that they had put fentanyl in it, I might have died. That's not happening. It's not happening. Drug addicts and people who are seeking to buy illicit drugs on the street are the ones who are suffering from this. It is Darwin. It is Darwinism. And I had a great picture to show this. Here's some great Darwinism for you. Folks, if you ever see wild boar on the side of the road, keep driving. Keep driving. Don't get out. Oh, honey, let me get my camera out and let's start taking a video of, if you want to maybe drive slowly and have your passenger, aim a smartphone out the window as you drive by. Okay, maybe. But stopping and getting out and around wild boar is about one of the most moronic, stupid things you could ever do in your life. It's insane. And these people that end up getting ended or injured because of this deserve it. See, this is the Venezuelan drug boat argument right here. And folks, let me show you something else too. I know this is kind of in the weeds, but this is from boattest.com, Mercury Marine test data. Basic RPM ranges and fuel consumption rates for these big, powerful boat engines. Now, most of the pictures that we've seen have shown these boats moving at anywhere from 50 to 60 knots. Okay, they're consuming at that rate anywhere from 130 to 200 gallons of fuel per hour, meaning that 0.3 mpg, 0.4 mpg, with a range of anywhere from 200 to 250 miles. That's all the farther those boats could get. If those boats left from anywhere on the northern coast of Colombia or Venezuela, and none of those boats, they might, maybe, just maybe, have been able to get to Dominica. Maybe they could float in if they slowed it down. Maybe make Puerto Rico. But this square that you're seeing right here, this red line up here, this represents a 200-mile square. Well, it's 200 miles from the north to the south, not from the east to the west, but you get the idea. It represents the entire north coast of South America from Colombia, West Colombia, all the way to East Venezuela, and 200 miles into the Caribbean Sea. Tell me again how they're a threat to North America. Those boats would never have had a chance. Even those the submarines are even worse. The submarines are even worse as far as efficiency and mileage. This is 200 miles. It doesn't even get you, 200 miles might be from the northern coast of Aruba to the very, very southern tip of the Dominican, which is likely where these boats were headed. They were likely headed to Haiti, the Dominican Republic, perhaps somewhere Dominica, St. Lucia, maybe Jamaica. That'd be even a stretch from the northern part of Colombia to get all the way to Jamaica. Maybe they're sending boats the other direction and they're offloading fuel, or maybe they're bringing boats with fuel to refuel them at sea and bring them the rest of the way. But that's just getting them to countries or Cuba. All of these ships that are now off the coast of Venezuela and Colombia, where those ships should be, is here. If they were interdicting these boats anywhere from the Bahamas all the way around to Key West, if we were picking up, believe me, I'd have an entirely different take on the story. Why not put the boats? Why not put all of these assets right through here? Right through the Straits of Florida? Between the Bahamas, Cuba, and Key West. Wouldn't that make more sense? That'd make a hell of a lot more sense, wouldn't it? Because then you could absolutely guarantee those boats were headed for the United States. You could even put a contingent in this gap here between Cancun and the western coast of Cuba. Blockade this and put the ships here. You see, that's how I know this bullshit down here has nothing to do with drug interdiction. It's an excuse to try to topple a regime that is in possession of the world's largest known reserves of oil, and perhaps, depending on how you look at it down here, the largest known supply of gold, of unmined gold. Northern Brazil, Guyana, and Venezuela, right in this region. So, anyway, that was my point. The No Kings protest wants anarchy. Because you only have the two choices. You either have law and order, or you don't. Some people say, isn't your channel called the Florida Maquis? And weren't they terrorists? No. The Maquis rose up in France and Spain. When the Germans marched under the Arc de Triomphe, they invaded France and took them over. The Maquis were trying to take their country back. France from the Germans. They weren't anarchists. They weren't terrorists. They were actual freedom fighters. The Maquis didn't have a problem with government. They didn't have a problem with law and order. They had a problem with the Germans taking over their country. As was alluded to in the Star Trek version of the Maquis, that this federation, this heavy-handed federation, had displaced people from entire planets. Another story for another day. Just wanted to clear that up here at the end of the video, but nobody's going to be prepared if anarchy actually shows up. Because truthfully, what you're looking at here, these are Halloween costumes. That's right, these are teen girls dressing up as prostitutes for Halloween. But make no mistake, if anarchy shows up, it won't be Halloween. It won't be Halloween. It'll be payday time for a lot of people. So be very, very careful what you wish for. Join us. Florida Maquis Patreon channel. Love to have you there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time.